There is one thing that takes away peace in long term relationships, especially where the age gap is more than 5 years between the two partners, right? And that is exactly what I want to tackle today. So, today I'm talking to you about you are evolving for peace sake. I am Pulaa Montz, your inner voice magnified. So, I thought I should talk about this because it's something that I've never spoken about, and I believe that it causes turmoil in relationships, especially long term relationships, and especially where there is a big age difference between the partners, right? So, when I met my husband, I was 21 and he was 30. So, there is a 9-year age difference between us, right? And it was fun, it was good. I saw this nice respectable man, and at the time I didn't even know his age, but when by the time I found out his age, I was, hey guys, I was just deep in it. There was no turning back, right? So he was just a man set in his ways, and I remember he asked me a question: how do you want to be loved? I mean, how do you ask a 21-year-old such a question, right? He was being unfair and he knew it. So I ignored the question because I didn't know what he was talking about. But what happened is that 8 years later, I started discovering who I was. I started understanding the kind of woman that I am. I started realizing the kind of love that I believe I deserve, right? And it was in that moment when I started evolving in the relationship, when I started becoming a woman who knew who they are in this relationship, when I started understanding having my own identity, understanding my identity, that I started becoming a problem in the relationship. Remember, when he met me, I mean, he was in his 30s, so clearly he knew exactly where his headspace was. And because he had asked me that question and I didn't have the answer, so for the next 7-8 years, he was loving me in the best way he knew how. And I was receiving that love without complaints. I was actually enjoying the kind of love that he was giving me, until I started evolving and I realized that there were some critical things that I needed out of a relationship that he wasn't giving me at the time, right? But when I realized it, the thing is, when you start discovering yourself and you want to share it with the next person, you are so passionate about the topic. I mean, I was so passionate. I was so demanding. I wanted him to change now. I wanted him to start doing certain things immediately, right? I remember even saying to him, you know what, go, please ask me that question again, because now I've got the answer. I tell you, even today, he's still avoiding that question, but I tell him anyway. He's not asking that question anymore because he doesn't want to know, because he knows right now I do have the answers to that question, right? So, but the trick is when you start evolving, when you start realizing the kind of person that you are, when you are growing in this relationship and you find there are things that you now want that you never used to demand from this relationship and from your partner, you need to recognize that at that point when you are making demands, you are actually indirectly saying, I need you as my partner to change. I need you to change how you have been loving me for the past 8 years, 10 years. I need you to start becoming something that you have never had to be in this relationship. I need you to start molding and adjusting yourself to accommodate the kind of person that I have become, right? But when you do that, I remember when I started making the demands, I was aggressive about it. I was very passionate. I wanted him to change immediately, and that caused a lot of turmoil in the relationship, because I mean, he met me and I was happy with the kind of love that he was giving for 8 years. And he was, he thought I'm the perfect thing because that's exactly how he wants to love me, and I'm receiving his love. And all of a sudden, I'm telling him that the way he loves me is not good enough. I mean, I didn't even realize the sensitivity of what I was saying. I mean, when you start saying, I need more out of you, you are basically saying what you have been giving me is not enough. And if we are not aware of the indirect message that we are sending to the next person, then we can hurt the relationship, we can hurt our partners without even recognizing it. So there is so much sensitivity when it comes to a partner growing and evolving in a relationship, and that partner needs to be also sensitive to the fact that as you are growing and developing in this relationship, maybe your partner was set in their ways. They didn't need to evolve. They are still the same person, and they are still loving you the way they used to love you. But when you start saying your love is not good enough, you must understand it's sort of an attack to the person that they are. You are basically attacking the kind of personality that your partner has, and we need to do it with a sensitivity that it deserves. I mean, you can't make all sorts of demands. Start saying, I want flowers. I want you to open doors for me. I want you to have conversations with me. And saying all these things at the same time and expecting your partner to say, okay, let's go on with it. No, when you say that, these things can be so much and you can be so demanding that they start retracting. They start getting into a cocoon. They start getting into their shell, because now you are saying, there are so many things that you have not been doing for me that I want, right? And that can cause so much problems. So basically what I'm saying to you, when you are evolving, you know that you have evolved. You know that you're not the same man or the same woman that you were when you started this relationship. You've been in this relationship for a long time, and you know that you're not the same person. So it took me years to know the kind of person that I am, right? And the kind of love that I want. We need to recognize that as much as it took us years as people who are evolving in relationships, it will take our partners maybe years, maybe a few months to get used to the person that you are saying you are, and for them to see how they can adjust themselves to accommodate the kind of woman or man that you have now become. But if you are not sensitive to that, we will cause havoc in a relationship. So it's important that as you are sharing the things that you want, firstly, share it one thing at a time. Share one thing at a time. If you want flowers, stick on the issue of flowers only. Don't want flowers and opening of doors and conversations all at the same time. You scare your partner and they would either, depending on their personality, push back and fight back, right? Or they will get into their shell, and all of a sudden your partner is very quiet. They are not making jokes with you anymore. They're not relating to you anymore the way they used to relate, because now they are feeling inferior. But as you're introducing the new person that you are, it is important to recognize that the other person as well takes that introduction as an attack on the person that they are. So you need, as a person who is evolving, to be very sensitive towards your partner's feelings when you start sharing the person that you are, and deal with one issue at the time. Introduce one issue at the time and have grace to allow them space to adjust themselves to the person that you are. Right? There are things that your partner will say, okay, I can learn to do this. It's okay. It's something that it will take time for me to get used to, but I can learn. Then give them space to learn what you have asked of them, right? But again, as we are evolving, there are those things that we can demand out of our partners that to them are core values. Maybe you are married to a Zulu man and he says, yay, in my culture, we don't buy flowers. What is that? I don't do stuff like that, and I will never do it. You know who I am. You know the kind of man I am, right? They won't say anything. They'll just keep quiet, and you'll keep asking for this thing, but you see that your partner is not doing it. That should tell you that maybe you are asking them to change something that is a core value to them. And if you realize that what you are demanding, the change that you are demanding of them, is a core value, then I tell you, you have the grace to change your attitude around that thing. So you can say, you know what, okay, fine, I know I love flowers, but I can I can accept the fact that it is a core value for my husband. That is one thing he refuses to do. Okay, he can do any other thing for me. He can open doors, but he will never buy me flowers because he just doesn't understand it. Then I need to be comfortable enough as well to realize that, okay, I can change my attitude around it to make compromises as well as the person who's growing, realizing that, hey, as much as I want him or her to accept me for the person that I'm becoming, I also need to accept the person that they are too. So please be sensitive as you are growing and evolving in a relationship. And as you are sharing the new you with your partner, realize that in a way you are saying, now that I'm this person, I demand more of you. And when you are saying that, you are basically saying, the person that you are at this moment for the kind of person that I have become is not enough. Basically, it doesn't matter how nicely you try and put it, that's a message that you're sending out. So recognize the implied message in what you're sharing, and be very sensitive as you're sharing the new you, so that you maintain peace even in that period of transition. I am Pulaa Montz, your inner peace and purpose coach.